Good evening, welcome one and all to the Monday Night Show here on Boro Fan TV with me, James Hutchinson. Tonight, Boro fans, we're going to look back at Saturday's game at the Riverside with Brentford. Has the outcome and the performance given you hope for the remainder of the season, or do you feel that our playoff hopes have been frozen out? Get in touch with us tonight. We're also going to preview the weekend visit to Derby. The Boro fans, join David and Joe as we go through the weekend's event. First of all, evening, lads. We all right?
Yeah.
Evening, James.
Good.
Right,
good.
that's sorted out.
Like satellite link, isn't it? To
Yeah.
Western, all right, Sean?
Yeah, sounds a pound, mate. You all right,
Good.
Dave? You all right, Joe?
Nice one. David, I'll come to you first. Daniel Fisher, Yannick Bolasie, Neeskens Cabano, they all made the home debuts at the weekend at the Riverside. How did you assess their contributions?
Solid. Obviously, we signed Darnell Fisher against Norwich, and we've seen what he could do. So it was another test to see how he could come up against another opposition. But Cabano, I thought, was a little bit quiet on his debut, but Bolasie looked lively throughout. And I think the directness, every time he gets that ball, he's wanting to attack. And I think that's something we've been missing since Traore. Sometimes he doesn't know what he's going to do himself, I think. And I think that causes havoc. And that's going to create us chances and goals for between now and the end of the season.
Yeah. I'll come to you in a second, Joe. Chris Blood's been in touch today. Said 2 sloppy goals conceded. And how many chances we could have scored 4 against best team in the league, who couldn't be happy with that performance. Joe, I mean, some point in the Brentford's equaliser after we took an early lead through a bit of a mistake by David Raya, said the Brentford equaliser was a turning point in the challenges on Bolasie and Britt. Neil Warnock brought up in his press conference after the game. What did you make of it?
I mean, I was surprised the referee didn't give the free kick for the foul on Assombalonga leading up to the goal. But as far as how the goal went in, I know some people were saying it was a little hint of offside, but I think when I looked at the highlights, I think McNair was definitely playing him on, and obviously Tony from those sort of ranges, he's not going to miss from there, to be honest. And as far as the goals are concerned, you know, Brentford had put 7 past Wickham beforehand, so I knew they were going to be a goal threat throughout, and it was just, and bearing the fact as well that they've only lost 3 games all season, and it just proves the fact they're going to be up there along the automatic promotion ranks along with Norwich. So it was just a case of, you know, of us not taking our chances in that game, and they did.
Yeah. Tam's gone along pretty much the same lines as you there, Joe. He said it was a strange game Saturday and it could have been 6-6. And he's confident that Neil Warnock will sort us out and get us into a playoff place. Tony, I mean, we've said before, the Championship, it is a strange league and a league of fine margins. And on another day, like Tam's mentioned there and Joe mentioned, we could have had more goals than the one we got. So it's encouraging from that point of view that we created those chances. And that, in a way, bodes well for the next 18 games, doesn't it?
Yeah, like you say, it was nice to see a winger, someone who's going to get the ball at his feet and take a man on and create havoc. First 20 minutes, it just showed you how much Assombalonga's off the pace when the balls are being played into the box.
Yeah.
He gives some absolutely fantastic service into that box the first 20 minutes. And like we were saying next week, with a player like Bolasie, we're going to have to start and get more players in the box, and it didn't happen. Like you say, even after we scored, we should have before Brentford equalised, we should have been comfortable because some of them chances Bolasie was creating, you know, maybe he's a Watmore who's more on his toes, might have benefited from one of them. Like you say, that Cabano was a bit quiet for me, but like you say, Warnock sees more of him than us, and he reckons he's going to be the man, one of the main men get the ball to our forwards. And like you say, the fullback had another steady game. But Brentford came to the side. Oh, Warnock said the best team in the league. You know what I mean? Run 19 games beaten, and I don't. The scoreline did flatter them because the 2 chances Saville missed, the second one especially, where a bit of thought, you know, it was a definite goal, and he just smashed it at the keeper. The two Brit had, unforgivable misses for a £15 million striker. And like you say, the chance Saville missed in the first half just before half-time. If that goes in, James, as you know, conceding the goals right on the stroke of half-time, it usually does the opposition's panning. But he just waved his leg at it. There was no conviction or anything behind that attempt on goal. Whether it was his wrong foot or not, it should have been seen us going into half-time 2-1 ahead. And that was a disappointing part of Saturday. About the chances we created were fantastic, but the way they were executed was poor. It was Sunday league finishing. You know what I mean, James? It's a day with the chances you laugh at your mate for missing on a Sunday morning.
Dan Smith's been in touch, lads, and he said a lack of goals is a problem for us. And he's saying a Sombalonga's said into another Marvin Emner's lazy and unable to score. David, just on another point, in terms of, is it going to be a case of, with the increased emphasis on attacking options that we've got, that we might become weaker defensively, and Brentford are a side that will exploit those sort of weaknesses to the maximum, and very few of other sides coming to the Riverside or that will play on our travels will offer the same sort of threats that they did?
No, I don't think they will. Obviously, Brentford have got goals throughout the team, but we definitely need to get our defensive line sorted, and it shows how much we've missed Dale Fry. I mean, we're conceding far too many goals at the moment.
David, do you think we're conceding too many goals from outside the box as well? Our goalkeeper is absolutely bobbins on shots coming in from outside the area.
Yeah, but you've got to stop those shots from getting in, haven't you, Guesty? And I think having those three centre midfielders and congest that midfield, really, you shouldn't be having that space from outside, the shots from outside. I just think we're struggling to get the balance, and I think the ball's coming back too quick. The amount of times, not so much on Saturday, but the amount of times we've been just hoofing the ball, not winning the second ball, and it's just been coming straight back. It just puts our defence under pressure. And with no aerial threat of Dale Fry, I think we really, really struggle defensively. I don't know what you guys think, but yeah, the three centre midfielders just aren't doing enough defensively for me.
We've seemed to have lost that ability of winning the ball back, where until the last run of home games, we were doing really well at winning second balls and winning the ball back in dangerous areas. When the ball was being punted upfield, we had it sorted out where we were winning the ball back, and it was a good positive for us. But that's stopped now, David. Like you say, and like shots coming in from outside the box. You know, like you say, we've got so much beef in the midfield, and there's no one closing them shots down. That's a concern, and obviously losing at home again.
The thing is, Guesty, I'd said about Norwich, I thought we got the balance spot on against Norwich. You know, we've defensively sorted and we stopped those long shots coming in. But for some reason at home, I think it's because we just resorting to hoofball. It just keeps coming back. We just need to get that sorted.
Yeah.
Ruth Dixon's picked up a little bit on that point there, dude, saying they're constantly passing it back to the keeper, who's always it's good catch up with, which he did with the third goal at the weekend. And it often, you don't have possession of the ball, then you give it to Bettinelli, and it then just becomes a 50-50 ball again, then, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah. We've seen it all season, haven't we? Bettinelli's kicking as well is poor. You look at other keepers, he can use his right foot and his left foot, and but his aiming of his kicks, it's a no one. And we're just not winning those second balls at home at the moment, and it puts us under immense pressure.
Yeah.
There's no finesse, like you say. It's like our strikers in front of goal. His main intention, Bettinelli, is putting the back of the ball out to see how far he can kick it. There's no thought process goes into it whatsoever.
Yeah. Which is a direct, massive opposite to Randolph, wasn't it? Because when Randolph came, his kicking I thought was pretty poor. And as it went on, he started playing out from the back, and that's where we started our attacks. And now we've just gone to polar opposite again.
Yeah.
Tony, I wanted to bring you in on this. Anthony Murphy's got in touch with you. He said, I don't think we're very stable without Fry. Him and McNair are the rocks at the back. Adapt to two up top. What have we got to lose? Now, if we went two up top, Tony, would you then take out one of the three that he seems to go with in midfield in Morsey, Saville and Howson. Would you take one of those out to accommodate another forward now that you've got Cabano and Balassi here?
Yeah, definitely. We've got to try and accommodate these players who've been brought in. And by the looks of it, I was doubting Balassi's commitment last week. By the looks of it, he's up for it, Balassi. And if we can get decent width, like you said, if we can keep Dale Fry fit alongside McNair or Grant Hall, and just have the two old midfielders and go from there, because like you say, Warnock's excited. We've got so many different attacking options at the moment. We've definitely missed Dale Fry. We got a good hiding off Rotherham when he was injured, and now we've just had conceded 4 goals against Brentford. So yeah, Dale Fry's a massive miss. Now he's matured. You know, like you say, we were all breathing a sigh of relief last week because when Liverpool were on the hunt for a ready-made centre half, I thought Dale was nailed on for him, but thank God he stayed with us. And we're a totally different unit, different defensive unit when Dale's fit. So, yeah, I would sacrifice one of our midfield at the moment. Just like you said, just what we've scored 1 goal at home in how many games? 4 games.
Yeah.
We need to start. It's the only way we're going to move up the table is if we start scoring goals. You know what I mean? We do have the personnel to keep. It's up the other end. He's got to pick 2 strikers and stick with them 2 strikers till the end of the season, whether it's Akpom and Watmore. Whoever he picks, Watmore has to be one of them for me.
Even if he doesn't have to go 2 up top, he could put that more extra offensive play behind the lone frontman, like a 4-2-3-1. And we started doing that, and he reverted straight back to me. And I think that's been his downfall, really. I think that's why fans are starting to get a bit disgruntled.
Yeah, because
he relies heavily on that man marking effect. You know what I mean? He likes us to take out the main threat with a man mark and carry on, which he done a lot of Saturday Fest staff. You know, I don't know who McNair was chasing about for the Fest 20 minutes, half an hour, and you know what I mean. So he does like that part of the game, Warnock, but it's worked for us up to now. You know, we shouldn't be sat here down at as everything the man's tried worked. It's just that we're on a bit of a bad run at the moment, so yeah, it just makes it look worse than what it really is for me.
Yeah, Joe. I mean, that's 4 games like Tony alluded to. That's 4 games in a row at home we've lost since the new year, and I think we've got 7 points out of our last 8 games. Does that stat worry you, or do you think it's just a blip where teams that maybe just to say pushing for a playoff place are going to go through iffy spells during the season? You just put it down to that.
Yeah, I think it may be probably just a main blip. You know, we always have these sort of blips, you know, at this point of the season anyway. So, and I mean, every other club that's going to be challenging for promotion or go for a playoff place are going to have those iffy moments come the midpoint of the season. So I think it may be, in my opinion anyway, I think it was just a blip for us, the current run we're having at home at the moment.
Yeah. And David, I mean, it's always interesting how different people interpret the game. And I think social media was really interesting after the match on Saturday, in that some people, I think, have noticed we turned a little bit on Neil Warnock with regards to that performance following the Rotherham game or the manner of the defeat. And then other people were thinking, well, both sides had 6 shots on target. It was a game that could have ended up quite different to a 4-1 home defeat. What was your sort of thought on things? Was that defeat the same as you as it was for the Rotherham games or the Birmingham or the Blackburn games?
No, I mean, Rotherham and Birmingham, not so much Blackburn, but those 2 in particular were very, very deflating. We just didn't look like scoring, and we were very poor offensively. I mean, Guesty touched upon it earlier. The game could have been a lot different if we took our chances. So I think fans need to just put in perspective of how far Warnock has took us and what he's done as a whole. You know, he's made us a solid unit pushing to the playoffs, and we had more or less the same team as last season where we nearly got relegated. So I think people just need to step back and not jump on the bandwagon a little bit too quick, because we could be in a lot worse position without him, you know.
Yeah, even like you say, even ex-players putting stuff on social media. Well, God, you know, forgive me, Bernie Slaven put a load of shit on Facebook on Saturday or Sunday about the home form. You know, are we, Bernie? Let's all, you know, we're all in this. We're all in it together. You know, there's no need to be, especially coming from someone like him. You know about the old form. This season, at the end of the day, this season's going to be a free hit, James. You know what I mean? After last season, whatever we do better than what we done last season is a bonus, and it's a free hit. Warnock has worked miracles to get us one place underneath the playoffs at the moment, and we just haven't got that. We just haven't got that extra 5-10% to get us, you know, in them playoff positions at the moment. But with these signings, hopefully, we can close that gap on Bournemouth and make a push. Rather than looking down over.
Yeah. Like I say, different opinions coming in from the viewers tonight. And Ross Griffiths has then said, I've seen fans slating one, and I can't believe I'm seeing it when you see where we were this time last season. And Phantom Clan, a.k.a. Jacob, has said, no one can moan at Warnock. He's a class manager, and trust me, the grass isn't always greener. Warnock will be the best manager we have for a while. So, like I say, there's a different opinion. That's what makes football a game it is, and we all love it because of the different opinions. I mean, some people have had a go, Tony, about how excited Warnock was after the game and that he almost treated the result, or the performance, should I say, as like almost like a victory in how we played. Can you see why people maybe got a bit upset about that?
Yeah, but if did these people actually sit down and watch the game, James? That's it. You know what I mean? Did these people have access to watching the pictures? What we are fortunate enough to see. You know, there's a lot of people listen to the games on the radio, and when the BBC commentators screaming McNair slipped over and, you know, he's walked through and he's gone round the keeper, you know, it sounds absolutely dire on the radio. But when you see the pictures, when you see the chances that we missed and the way Balassi played, you know, the chances we created, I totally get where Warnock was coming from, because I think a lot of the fans who've seen the game were on the same footing as what Warnock was. Because it's, like you say, it wasn't as deflating as the Rotherham defeat, because we didn't provide nothing. The Birmingham defeat, we didn't provide nothing. You know, we just drew with top of the league the week before. We drew 0-0 with Norwich, where we should have came away with 3 points.
Yeah.
You know, and that, like you say, I'll say it again, apparently the best team in the league came to the Riverside on Saturday, and we created chance after chance. And that's a disappointing part about. But I totally get what Warnock was on about.
Especially, Guesty, with a team that's not used to playing together. You know, there's 3 new signings in there who haven't gelled with the rest of the team. So if we can play like that as a one-off and play on the offensive, once they get to know each other's game, how far can they go? And I think that's what's pleasing for me.
Yeah, I never ever wanted. There was 2 managers I never ever wanted at our club, and that was Tony Pulis and Neil Warnock. And I've totally got Neil Warnock wrong. I've went away, I've watched his teams. Cardiff were one of the worst teams I've ever seen in my life, but he got them promoted, and he's come here, and like you say, he's re-energised all them players. And I dare say if the Riverside had its normal crowd in, he'll re-energise the fans as well, because Saturday was, I totally understand where Warnock was coming from. 100%, like that kid's just said.
Yeah. And Joe, there's people here now backing up Neil Warnock, saying about the job he's done and how he's transformed things. And Dan Smith's got in touch here and said referees need to start doing their job properly. Many times we should have had penalties. And obviously he criticised the first goal that Brentford got at the weekend. Do you think, in a way, though, that great with fans that sometimes people are saying, well, whenever we get beat, it's always someone else's fault. It's not that I've got things wrong or the players didn't perform, or is, again, that just Warnock's way of protecting his players?
Well, you have to protect your players at certain points, and obviously, I mean, I have to look at Warnock and think what he's done since he came here. You know, he's completely re-energised the team, and some fans will have to come to this as well. Is that it's a big improvement to where we were last season, where we could have got relegated. In this season, I mean, we're not that far from the playoffs, so I mean, the fans have got to realise, you know, that Warnock is trying his utmost damnedest, you know, to get us into the playoffs. So I thought, I think the whole blame of the referee situation, I think, is probably one of the main reasons that we're costing us games at the minute, and especially the bad run at home.
Yeah, I mean, we've covered this sort of a little bit already, but I'll give it to you, David. Rob Henry's asked thoughts on the keepers right now. I mean, Bettinelli's been coming in for a fair bit of stick recently, but would you change him for Jordan Archer?
No, from what I've seen of Jordan Archer, I've never been impressed throughout his career, so no. Bettinelli's got the experience of getting promoted. I don't think he's the right choice long term. He's out of contract at Fulham in the summer, and I wouldn't be looking at signing him on, especially on the wages that he's on. But I think we've got to stick with him to the end of the season because, he knows what it takes to get out the league. He's got the experience, and Jordan Archer is really poor. And then you're bringing a keeper in who hasn't really played with a back four, so you could be just creating more chances or problems. I get what people are saying about Bettinelli because I've not been impressed with him. And a lot of in the season, early on in the season, when we kept the 10 clean sheets, people were talking about how good he is, but he wasn't tested. We were playing wing back formations with a 5 at the back, and he was having 1 or 2 shots to save. Now we've gone a bit more expansive, and he's getting bombarded with shots. We can now see why Fulham were very eager to let go, in my opinion.
Yeah, fair point, mate. Fair point.
Yeah,
we'll
plus the fact as well, you know, both of our keepers are both going to be out of contract at the end of the season, and you have the most people rely on saying, you know, we should bring in the likes of Saul Bringen from our under-23s, but the only thing is, Saul Brin's not ready yet. Not ready for at this level.
No chance.
And probably, if Warnock looks to extend probably Archer's contract for another 12 months and probably bringing another keeper in the summer, I think that's the keeper area is going to be one of the key areas that we're going to have to look at come the summer.
Yeah.
We'll move on from the Brentford game, but Ross Griffiths has come back. He said some Boro fans are quick to jump when mistakes are made, and he's backed that up then by saying how many times has Bettinelli saved us points this season. Do you think that's a fair line of argument, Tony?
At this moment in time, I think, you know, they reckon a good goalkeeper will get you 21 to 30 points a season with his saves, but I just think his shot stopping, you know, shots coming from outside the box, I think he's really poor. Like, you know, since Randolph's gone, we've struggled in that area, you know what I mean? But like you say, I wouldn't go with the other kid, that Archer. We've got him now. We're going to have to put up with him. And like you say, it's up to now Warnock now to get our back 4, back 5 to protect him and make sure these shots aren't coming in.
Yeah.
And on the refereeing in the Championship, if the Championship had VAR, your games wouldn't be finishing until 6:15 because there's that much goes on in them games. It's unbelievable. And the standard of refereeing and them that wave the flag, whatever they're called now, it's absolutely, you know, FIFA and the FA are supposed to, you know, they have an assessor in the stand, don't they? I think the assessors are what they are, you know, and it's hit and miss each week. Which side they're going to go with, you know, it's really poor.
I think
back in the goalkeeping case, we completely forgot about. We've got Stojanovic to come back from on loan as well, so I'm wondering what his status will probably be come the summer.
But obviously, Warner doesn't fancy him, does he? To bring Bettinelli in and to send him out on loan, Joe. So, I think if Warnock's staying, we need to sign a keeper, you know, and we've got to go down the road of looking at someone that's standard of Randolph like that, you know what I mean? Because goalkeeping, we've always, you know, over the years, we've always had a strong goalkeeper. And I think since our period at the Riverside, the guy we've got in goal now is about the poorest one we've had.
Yeah.
I just think on the refereeing situation, Tony, and Ross Griffiths has more or less taken the words out of my mouth here. Look at what happened at Fulham in the game against West Ham at the weekend, and I think the standard in the Premier League's poor. So if it's poor in that league, well, it's just going to have a knock-on effect that it's going to be even worse in the Championship, League One and League Two. I think, unfortunately, I think the standard of refereeing is pretty poor at the moment in this country. But,
See, what worries me is that VAR. These referees have got the mates sat in a studio. You know what I mean? They're all in the same union. They're all referees at the end of the day. Whether you get an independent person in to work the VAR, because that's sending off for West Ham. even after VAR, and then it gets overturned and the kid gets let off. It's an absolute joke, mate. You know,
I think in a VAR, I think you need an ex-professional footballer and a referee in that VAR studio so they can both give points of argument.
Definitely, yeah.
Not bad shout. We'll move on to other things now, lads. Joe, last week the Disabled Supporters Association, they announced that Paddy McNair was their Player of the Year for 2020, and Marcus Tavernier was the Young Player of the Year for 2020 as well. And both those players, when they were interviewed afterwards, spoke about how much they enjoyed working under Neil Warnock, how much they enjoyed training. Paddy McNair even mentioned that he hopes that he stays on beyond the end of this season. So it's obviously the players are keen for him to remain at the club, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. And plus, I think David touched on this a few shows ago now, that I just can't imagine Warnock ending his career without being in front of fans. And it shows that Warnock has that effect on players, that they do want to keep him on the club for at least probably 12 months, or probably another 12 months after that, but it depends how long he wants to go. But like I say, I really do hope he does stay on for the next hopefully 12 months or so. So if he does get that send off he deserves, at least it's in front of fans and not just an empty stadium. Yeah.
And David, Marcus Tavernier himself was saying that he's never played under a manager that's shown so much faith in him. And I think that probably goes for the likes of Bowler, Dykesdale, even Dale Fry and Paddy McNair probably. He's had such a transformational effect on so many players, hasn't he?
Yeah, he certainly knows how to get the best out players. And I think that's his man management. And his man management is across the board. And I think his man management isn't just for the players, it's the fans as well. You know, how he's very transparent. He says it as it is, and fans like that and get on board. And I think that's why we've all come together as a unit. And when you've got a boss who's very honest with you, know where you stand, it makes the working environment a lot, better to go to. So with Tavernier, he's been vastly improved under Warnock, but Warnock's the only one who's really given him a really chance in the side and a good run. Since Monk brought him in when he was 18, 19, he's been in and out of the team, so he's never been able to have the consistency. So, what Tavernier deserves a lot of credit as much as Warnock does for his performances this season.
Yeah. And Tony, obviously we spoke about the Brentford game earlier and the new players like Balassi and Cabano. Do you think in a way, though, that it's a bit of an issue for not just the Boro, but for many clubs in the Championship, when you're bringing players in that are in on loan, they're only going to be for a short-term space of time sort of thing. They're not going to be probably long-term. Do you think it's a case of having to rip it up and start again all the time is an issue for clubs like the Boro, that we're going to have to go up, start all over again in the summer?
Yeah, I think it's an issue. I think it's an issue for all teams that get promoted, James, because you see these teams get promoted and they have a lot of loanees from Premier League clubs, and obviously these players are only there for a short while, and these teams go up, then they end up suffering staying up. They end up bringing in players from teams that's been relegated, and then it's just a mad circle.
Yeah,
Warnock's coming. For me, he's got to stay another year, because if we go up or not, or if we get the playoffs or not, he's got to stay another year. Because at the moment, our squad's getting thinner and thinner without these loanees. We're down on the bones of our ass, and we've got to start and bring players in now for the future. We've got Bowler, Dale's still young. We've got Tav, Wings hit the ground running at Rotherham. Do you know what I mean? If Wing comes back, we have got a lot of young talent at the club, young Wood, but it's getting all these players into the team at the right time in their career, James. Where at the moment, Warnock's worked his magic on every player in that squad. You know what I mean? The only one it hasn't worked with at the moment, he give him the captain's armband to see if it can get the best out of him, and Britt seems to be the only one who's not benefiting from Warnock being our manager, because like Dave said, he's took Tavernier under his wing, and he's give Tavernier a run in the team where other managers haven't. He's he said how brilliant McNair is. He comes out openly how fantastic Howson is. He isn't frightened to say how good his players are. You know what I mean? So he's got to stay another year. We playoff scope or whatever happens this season. Hopefully, this is just beginning because a massive rebuilding job needs doing at our club, and it's been coming for a long time. Because it's been since Pulis, we've just been losing player after player after player.
Thing is, he's very savvy in the transfer market, isn't he? I mean, when he was at Cardiff, he got Sol Bamba and Junior Hoylett in for free transfers whose careers were going nowhere. He did exactly the same for them, made them Premier League players.
Yeah, definitely. Well, like I seen a comment the other day, which I disagreed, you know what I mean, but someone said we sold Patrick Bamford for 7 million and kept Britta Sombolonga, who cost 15 million. But Patrick Bamford's a different player now to what he was when he was at the Boro, you know what I mean? You know, I don't think he was even worth 7 million when he left us.
Well, Joe, Ross Scribner's got in touch there about Jonathan Woodgate and maybe his part, or maybe not producing the goods with those players that are now doing the business for Neil Warnock. With everything that was going on last week, we didn't get to mention that Jonathan Woodgate had got a first-team coaching gig at Bournemouth, and since then he's got into the caretaker manager. What did you make of that turn of events down there?
Very interesting. I know Bournemouth were struggling for a bit of form as of late, and that's why Jason Tindall got the boot. But I think replacing him with Woodgate, you would have thought, you know, if the outcome with Tindall was to get the boot probably later on the season, he was going to jump into the role straight away. But he's got off to an alright start with him, no doubt. But I've been aware talks about Frank Lampard possibly taking over at Bournemouth in his place, but I think that'll be another story for another time. But yeah, I think it was one of them that's just about to happen.
Yeah. Any views from you, Tony, Woody?
Well, it's not a bad promotion, is it? Starting a Monday, your manager on the Wednesday night. Unbelievable. I think you might have seen me comment the other day where, you know, I was just sat there thinking, and then I had the mad thought come over me that, you know, we both end up at Wembley. Bournemouth and Middlesbrough in the playoff final, and Woody turns us over. You know what I mean? That was one of the worst thoughts I've had in a long time. You know, and being a Boro fan, you know, you could guarantee, being a Boro fan, you could guarantee that happening.
Yeah.
Fair play to him. You know, I hope he does well. You know.
Yeah, I adore that.
I think we played him at the Vitality next month or April, I think, don't we?
Yeah.
If he wins a few games, you know what happens. They'll just keep him on, and
yeah, the budget
hopefully he's still manager, and we can get one over him.
I hope you're right, mate. I hope you're right. Well, before then, we've got Derby at the iPro at the weekend, Tony. And Derby is struggling massively this season. And for you, Tony, quick reunion with Patrick Roberts. He could be lining up with the Rams at the weekend. Do you fear him maybe coming back to haunt Neil Warnock and the Boro at the weekend?
Yeah, most probably, you know what I mean, James. But that's up to us to stop the ball getting to him. But 20 minutes of Balassi, you know, Balassi done more in that first half than Patrick Roberts done since he came on loan last January. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, yeah, he will want to prove a point. But how many other players want to prove a point against Neil Warnock? I think he's upset everyone, hasn't he? So, yeah, he'll know how to deal with it.
Yeah. David, after the game on Saturday against Brentford, Neil Warnock said the Derby game's the start of our season now. 18 games, 18 cup finals, and they're in the middle of a relegation battle. Is it a good time to be going to Derby this weekend?
You could say that. You could say we could go back with a point to prove after the defeat against Brentford, so it can work both ways. We've got to get that season started. I think how we approach the game is going to be interesting to me to see what type of formation we play. Because I think he just needs to settle with one formation for the end of the season and go with it. Guesty touched upon it. Having one striker and give that striker a run of 10 games. For me, it should be Akpom. We'll say for Akpom, right, you've got 10 games, just go out there and we're going to stick with you. Because swapping those two, isn't helping the side whatsoever. There's a lot of inconsistency there, and I think that's what's affecting our performances.
Right, interesting. You two lads, would you be happy, Tony or Joe, with Akpom getting it for the next 10 game, or would you rather see somebody else up front?
Depends really. I mean, if Akpom was to show the form that he was in when he first came to the club, I mean, I'll be happy. But I think either him or Watmore will probably need to be added into the squad probably for the next 18 or so games. Probably particularly Watmore because he's more of a poacher than compared to more strikers at the club.
Yeah,
I'd say we've definitely got to start. We've got to find a way of getting Watmore in the team, and starting every game with him, and it's either Akpom or Britt with Watmore. That's how we've got to go forward. I think that's where we'll get goals from. But if you want to be picky, Akpom's got a contract at the club, so Britt's out of contract at the end of this year. So unless he puts pen to paper, I'd just go with Watmore and Akpom every game now till the end of the season. And don't forget, we've still got Mendes Lang to try and get fit to come into the equation as well, James. You know what I mean? He hasn't had much of a mention. He could be a revelation also. He could be our next Duncan Watmore, who's coming from the Knackers yard and, ends up getting a decent contract out of the club.
Yeah. I honestly don't see us going 2 strikers up to the end of the season. No chance. He's not done it throughout his career, Warner. I agree that's what we should be doing, but he won't.
Yeah, as Boro fans, that's what we've been wanting since Karanka was here, isn't it? We've been wanting them 2 strikers up front, and we've never got them. So,
Alfie Conlon was in touch a couple of minutes ago there, John. He mentioned about Dale Fry and how much we miss him, and we said about that at the Brentford game. Do you think it's vital that he starts at the iPro on Saturday for us? Or, I think, as well as Dale, would there be any other significant changes you'd like to make to the starting 11?
Well,
I'd like. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'd probably like to see probably Fletcher might hopefully get a start just for like an hour and a half or so to get his fitness up and right. And if worst case scenario, if Fry's not fit for the game on Saturday, I probably won't be surprised to see Grant Hall come back in because I think he played 90 or so minutes for the under-23s yesterday. So even that, but you have to look at the squad overall. I think, despite the position they're in, Derby are picking up quite a bit of results there with Rooney at the helm, and obviously you have the Mackers upstairs along helping them out as well. So, I mean, even though they're in a bad enough position, I think Derby are still not out of the woods yet.
Yeah. I mean, Tony, has their struggles surprised you? In a way, they've pretty much mirrored what we did last season, haven't they? And how they had a really important season.
Yeah, I'm really surprised how much they've struggled since pretty much since Lampard's left. Then who was it they brought in? Coco, the clown, or whatever he was called. Coco, that's him. Coco. They brought in a cockatoo. They brought Rooney in with him. But they've really surprised me. But you were saying last week, James, that the Championships is going to lose a couple of big names this season, and I don't think it'll be Derby. I think Rooney's starting to get a tune out of him, but it's a happy hunting ground for us, isn't it? The Pride. I was going to say the baseball ground there, Pride Park. It's a happy hunting ground for us. So, what I'm going to say is, if we've got 2 fit centre halves on Saturday, we've got to play them. We've got to play Grant Hall and Dale Fry, and fit McNair in somewhere where he can weave his magic with his passing and his running with the ball. Because we have been conceding a lot of goals, especially at home lately. So that's my opinion. If you've got 2 fit centre halves, play them, and then build your team round.
Do you go along with that, David? Do you think McNair might move into midfield at the weekend?
No, not for me. I think he looks a different player with Dale Fry alongside him, and everything I've seen from Grant Hall, he doesn't he doesn't pull no punches for me. He's too injury prone, too slow. He's inconsistent. I think better McNair, centre midfielder. He's a brilliant performer, but for me, I think if you get him alongside Delphi, those two are the best partnership in the league. Two centre-back partnerships, and I don't say that lightly because I know there's other good partnerships there. I just think they both work well together.
Okay. Joe, I'll come to you first then. What's the score going to be at the iPro on Saturday then?
Well, this is the start of 18 or so cup finals. You want to start off with a win, and particularly when we got a decent record away from home so far. So I'm going to go with a 2-0 Boro win.
2-0 Boro. Guesty, follow that up.
We're quite solid away from home. I'll go for a 2-0 win as well.
David, over to you.
Well, I was going to go draw. I think we'll draw it.
We'll draw. If we do draw it, David, do you think that's more or less it then for the playoffs? Do you think it's not a game we have to win on Saturday? Some people say it's a game we have to win on Saturday if we're looking at top 6.
Not for me. I don't think it's a must-win game because Joe touched upon it. Yeah, we've got Bournemouth to play. For me, forget about Bournemouth. I know Bournemouth in that 6th position, so everybody looks at it. For me, it's Reading. They drop like flies each season, and we play them in a week on Saturday. So I'm looking at Reading more than I'm looking at Bournemouth. So I don't think Saturday is a be-all and end-all. I think more the Reading game is next Saturday.
Yeah, I completely agree.
It's quite interesting there that everybody that's gone through or put a prediction in all gone for Boro wins at the weekend. And Ross Brickness there just
Cheers, James.
Me?
No, cheers. You've made me feel better for going for a draw now.
I think we'll win, David. I think we'll win 2-1 on Saturday. But Ross Griffiths backs up what you say, you Jonah. He said
shame, David.
He said if we're in some class 10 games, that's when it's time to make it count. Kean Finn's got in touch with us. Hope you're well, Kean. He said it's a must-win, surely. If we get beat on Saturday and Bournemouth win, they go 8 points clear. But like you said, David, you thinking maybe Reading's more the team to focus on as opposed to Bournemouth?
For the last 5 years, every game the Borough's played's been a must-win game. You know what I mean? For the last 5 years, every game has been a must-win game. So,
yeah.
Well, lads, I'm afraid that's all we've got time for this week. That Reading game that you spoke about there, David, we'll preview that next week. Many thanks to you 3 lads for joining me again on the show tonight.
No worries, mate.
Cheers.
Pleasure,
Great to catch you. Thanks to everybody out there who's been watching tonight and for all your contributions to the show. Really appreciate it. Fingers crossed for 3 points for the Boro at the iPro on Saturday. Until next Monday, from us all here at Boro Fan TV, good night and up the Boro.
Up the Boro.
Up the Boro.